Hello and welcome back to Games Embassy with the Ambassadors of Gaming. I'm one of your two hosts, Ambassador Chris.
And I am Ambassador Michael.
And we have news about stuff. Michael, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it really is. We've got a guest, one who's hopefully going to be frequent on the show, another person we've added to the team, Ambassador Jordan, otherwise known as Crispysinger on his social media platforms. Say hello, Jordan.
Hey guys, pleasure to be back on the show. Looking forward to discussing some news about things and stuff.
Thank you. Mike never follows through with me when I say news and stuff. I'm glad someone did. I need a new partner. But anyway, Mike, why don't you go ahead and give us our plugs?
Okay, so we have a few things here. If you are unaware, because Jordan has only been on the show one time previously, he has a website in which he provides news and previews and reviews. And correct me if I'm wrong, but more lately you're focusing on the reviews, right?
Yeah, pretty much the reviews is my primary focus, kind of dabbling in and out with streaming, but mostly reviews just now.
Okay. And you stream on Facebook and Twitch?
Yeah, kind
of. Or just Facebook?
Like, normally I do Facebook, Twitch, Mixer, occasionally YouTube as well. Normally I just hit everything at once, but I'm kind of just focusing on Twitch just now and Facebook, depending.
So you have a website. It's crispysinger.co.uk. It's spelled as you would expect.
We'll put it in the description anyway.
And then, of course, you can go over there, check out some of his fabulous reviews and impressions and content over there. And then we have our own stuff over here, the Patreon for ambassadors, where you can get some wonderful things, including early access to the show, exclusive content, and your comments or questions read on the show. So
Mike's been living in a box for so long. He needs the money.
I would like to upgrade to a refrigerator box, please. I can stand up in that.
Now that we've got all that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and move into some updates, and I will go ahead and start us off. So first up on our docket, Fortnite ads. The reboot vans. We've been hearing these rumors for a while. Taking note from Apex Legends page, Fortnite has officially unveiled the reboot vans, and they work similarly to Apex beacons. Pick your teammate's card, take it to a van, and wait for them to arrive. The main difference seems to be that in Fortnite, players will have to wait for a cooldown on the respawns, though we don't know who exactly it affects.
The Yakuza studio has finished, in quotes, fixing Judgment. Talking to IGN, the Yakuza studio mentioned that they have completed work with, quote, an original character this time, not a performance capture. You'll have to wait to see what he looks like, end quote, replacing the Shun actor who previously held the role, who has been accused of drug use and possession. The producer, Kazuyuki Hosokawa, I probably butchered his name, I'm sorry, went on to explain, wonderful. He went on to explain that, quote, first of all, we had to replace the character model and re-record all of the dialogue, but replacing the character model is only the start. We had to change all of the pre-rendered cutscenes Hamura appeared in. Also, his face appears on some of the evidence that you present on your smartphone, so we had to replace those textures and some trophies had to be changed too, end quote.
And then an update that will probably surprise nobody. GameStop reports a $673 million loss in 2018, which is coming from their fiscal 2018 report. The company has told its investors how much of a loss they've had. As I said, don't think that's really going to surprise anyone going by how things have been going for them anyway. But they also did confirm that the digital receipts for 2018 were up by 16.5% to $1.3 billion, which is also quite interesting and quite impressive, yes.
Yeah, they're selling more digitally than in stores, but it doesn't seem like that's still helping them all that much. So
not anymore.
Yeah, the whole digital over physical thing, that's one, like, I always prefer physical games. I don't see, like, I really hope it doesn't go just pure digital. It just saddens me.
You and I are in the same boat. I have a nice big game rack right next to my TV. So you and I, it won't be dead as long as you and I buy our games. So Moving on, The Division 2 and Kotaku turn out to leak the next Assassin's Creed. An Easter egg in The Division 2 refers to a handful of images in a museum that show a Viking holding the Apple of Eden, the famous artifact from Assassin's Creed. Kotaku says that they can independently confirm that the game is going to revolve around Vikings. Kotaku also states that the game will release in 2020, skipping 2019 as Ubisoft previously had confirmed.
In unexpected news from Korea, Octopath Traveler has been rated for PC. In Korea, the Game Rating and Administration Committee of Korea has rated Octopath Traveler on PC. The version is listed to be published by Bandai Namco, who is known for publishing Square Enix titles in Korea. So that's weird.
In the next update, Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch will receive Labo VR updates. Super Mario Odyssey will feature some bite-sized bonus experience with a couple mini missions, collecting coins and musical notes. Going by the footage that I've saw, it does look quite interesting, but what's kind of got my interest peaked more is the Breath of the Wild, which is getting full VR support, and you'll be able to explore all of Hyrule in VR, which I'm probably certain a lot of people have probably wanted to do for quite a long time, although different versions of Hyrule, of course, but it does sound like a pretty big deal to some of the hardcore Zelda fans out there. I'm looking forward to it as well. I've not actually.
That is badass.
But just thinking about it, like going by the trailer, I was kind of wondering how they would implement this into the Breath of the Wild. Because when I saw the Super Mario one, it seemed more like you were just looking at the character moving on the screen. But if it's actually full VR and you can hold it up to your face and walk around, I think it would be pretty cool. But also, there's some not limitations, but I think comparing like the Nintendo VR to PSVR, you don't have to hold it to your head. So that's the only thing I'm not sure on, but I still think that's pretty cool, and it's definitely something that the younger generation will be hyped for, as they always are when it comes to the VR stuff and Labo. But I'm looking forward to seeing more news on that coming out.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm a little concerned in general. It's just a battery life is a concern. I know Breath of the Wild, even though it was a launch title, it sucked a lot of battery out just to play the game regularly. And it definitely raises some concern for how long this battery can last.
Yeah,
doing VR now too. But just a thought. I don't know.
So maybe they're trying to tie it in with the new Nintendo Switch consoles that they're planning on releasing. It could be something to do with that.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. That could totally be it. Wow, with those bigger batteries, I could see that happening. Okay.
Yeah, it could tie into that.
Definitely. Microsoft brings. Our next update, by the way. Microsoft brings useful widgets to its Xbox Game Bar. If you're unaware, that is for PC. Microsoft has revealed some major updates to the Xbox Game Bar. The company has added Spotify controls, game volume and outputs, GPU, CPU, and RAM usage. Screenshots and videos have also gotten a bit of an overhaul, as you can now easily add text and overlay to either and quickly share them to Twitter without ever having to actually leave the game window. A lot how the old snap functionality used to work on the Xbox. This is currently not available to all users. However, Microsoft is collecting feedback and hopes to roll these features out to all users as soon as possible.
More Xbox inflation news. Xbox Live is receiving a price increase in the UK.
Bollocks.
Nailed it.
Sorry. I thought that fit.
I think so. I don't know. Microsoft said that it was addressing changing market conditions, end quote, by raising the price. This will begin on May 8th. The price is increasing from $39.99 to $49.99 for a year, $14.99 to $17.99 for 3 months, and $5.99 to $6.99 for monthly subscribers. The price, however, will stay at $29.99 for the 6 month, so it's not affected. And then, of course, this is all in pounds. I wrote that as a side note because I don't know how to make the pound symbol on my keyboard. So,
what's the conversion to grams?
To grams? I don't know.
Sorry, that was a stupid pun.
Damn.
You know, are you serious? Did you? Not
I understood your pun. I was just rolling with it.
Okay. I was like, do you really not know? Holy crap. Okay. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, on the next update, there's Black Ops 4 is receiving a new map by Atlus and goes free for a month. It's probably a good tactical move considering Apex Legends is doing pretty well and obviously all the other Battle Royale games out there. But I don't know if it's too little too late. But at least it'll be free till the end of April. Hopefully, I'll bring in some more players and get more people in it. But we'll move on to the next point. The added Blackout map is a close quarters prison, which will make an interesting change to the wide open other Battle Royale maps we normally see. I would definitely say that's quite relative to the standard Blackout map anyway, because I think it's far too open. Like, it is a good map and it's a good change compared to other games at the time. But then, going on about Apex again, but after playing Apex, I kind of feel a little bit spoiled because that map, although it is quite big, quite open, there's a lot going on in it. Whereas the Call of Duty map, like, personally, I felt it was quite, like, it's just quite bare. You could be running about and there's like nothing around you for ages. But yeah, that was after, like, I hadn't played it for a while, went back and I was like,
I agree.
just not enjoying this, and I've not went back since. So even if I didn't have the game, I probably would not go back for the 3 months. But some people might. I don't know. And then, moving on from that, Activision has announced the date for the PS4 version on April 2nd to the exclusivity deal, and however, the trend seems to be that the content released on other platforms around a week later. That stuff kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah. This kind of makes me think. I played Blackout for like the first week it was out, and one of the most interesting times that I had in that game was when you would drop over to you could actually go into the zombie asylum map. They actually have that in the Blackout mode, and some of the most interesting confrontations you run into are in that huge building. So I could definitely see an Alcatraz version, of like a closed quarters where you're just in a really, really, really big building and do a battle royale map. I could definitely see that, piquing some interest and making for a different meta.
Right. I can't speak on Blackout specifically because I haven't played it. But I've played pretty much everything else, even fucking H1Z1. And so Apex, I understand exactly what Jordan's saying in terms of Apex. Apex is very lively on its map, and it goes from open to close quarters very quickly in a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
And so the main difference between I hate to use it as an example, but the main difference between Fortnite and the other battle royales is that happens just by people's building. That's what creates those close quarters encounters, is from being out in the open to building shit. So I could definitely see that being interesting. I might hop in, but I don't know. Like, every time I pick up Call of Duty, I'm like, this is fun. And then I play with really annoying people and I'm like, this is not fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the people that play Call of Duty are not fun to be around. And so
yeah, I've kind of noticed, like, I always play Call of Duty till I hit like level 30, which is not impressive, but then that's my finishing point because I lose interest by then. I don't know if it's because other people kind of drop out, but that's every Call of Duty I've ever owned. That's my peak, and that sounds bad, but I don't know why.
No, not at all. That makes a lot of sense. There's also the aspect of unfortunately, if you jump in now, Mike, a lot of people have, like, take when we played Apex Legends. We played Apex Legends. I've only played it on the day it released, and we won.
That's true.
Okay, if I went back and played Apex Legends right now, do you think that I'd win?
I would be willing that probably not, because I have struggles now.
People have gotten good. Strategies have been made, and unfortunately, being a newcomer in Battle Royale it's not friendly. You'll get bodied, as we've seen with the whole recent changes in Fortnite that people have been upset about. Fortnite trying to make it easier for new people to climb in, but that's neither here nor there. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the news. And it looks like I am at bat. Xbox may be changing its subscriptions. To start, this is a rumor. However, the leaker is noted for having been accurate in the past. We're going to go ahead and leave a link to that down below so that you can just go take a look at that. Microsoft may be launching a new subscription tier to include Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass, called the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. A lot of big buzzwords there. Ultimate, super games, yeah. The idea is that for users who purchase both, will bring the cost to $14.99 a month compared to the current $19.98 a month for users as it is now, if bought on a monthly basis. There is no information on other tier prices or if they would even be available at this time. How are we feeling?
It's really quite sad. Like, I'm paying for the Game Pass. I don't know. I pay for the Game Pass and Xbox Live, and it's like it's one of them things. Like I kind of just got into the habit of paying for it, and I don't use it that often. But it's like I just leave it there because I've downloaded some games, and I'm like, I'll play them one day. So I just leave it, and I keep paying for it. But it's like you kind of think about it, it's like am I paying like a lot more than what this new deal is going to be? And if so, it's like it'd be as well just swapping. But at the same time, it's like trying to weigh out the options here, see if it's actually worth paying essentially up to $15 or like whatever that will convert to £10 isn't that bad a month. But it's sometimes it feels hard to justify when you're like if you've got like multiple platforms. Like for example, I'm paying for the Xbox, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch being the cheapest, which is good. But then I think PlayStation 4 is £50 a year as well. So it all does kind of add up when you think about it.
I agree with you 100% because that's kind of where we're at. The reason, like, we've saved some money by kind of doing half and half. Chris and I game share. And so, you know, he takes care of one subscription, I take care of the other, and then we bought the family pack for Switch. So we've saved some money there, but like, I get where you're coming from. I like this. I would rather just be like the thing for a lot of places. Like PlayStation doesn't have anything like this with PlayStation Now, where you can just buy one and PlayStation Now is expensive too, and it's not as good as Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a good thing for those who already have it, though. I think it's weird. I think the naming is weird. Like I thought maybe they would put it as Xbox Game Pass Gold, or you know Xbox.
Yeah, that would have made more sense, I'd say.
Yeah, because I mean,
it's like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate just seems like it's associated with
Game Pass,
the Game Pass and nothing else.
Right, exactly. But maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they want to highlight Game Pass more because everybody knows Gold already. You know.
Yeah, I guess Game Pass is good in the sense that it brings a lot of like the first party games out straight away through it, which I'm still yet to play anyway. I keep forgetting, but that's one of the best things. And there's quite a good library on it. It's like you're saying compared to PlayStation Now, I'd say the value for money is definitely where Xbox. But it's one of them things.
You bring up the point that I have against Game Pass. I think that Mike, didn't we for $10 a month? If you play 2 of those games consistently throughout a year, you make your money's worth.
Yeah, essentially, if
you make your money's worth just fine.
If you play
two $60 AAA games,
right?
Yeah. However, like you pointed out, you have that mentality of like, oh, I'll play these eventually, and that's the only thing I have against Game Pass. Is that I mean, I don't play very many games at one time. So yeah, on paper, Game Pass seems good because you have access to all of these games. But at the same time, can't they just take games out whenever they want to? Like say I was addicted to playing Call of Duty. What was the first one out for say I was addicted to playing Advanced Warfare. Okay. And then all of a sudden out of the blue, they take Advanced Warfare out of there. Like, I don't like that aspect of it. I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is how it works as well. Because I'm sure the last time I was on it, there was a notification saying like X amount of days left with this game. Which I kind of agree with that as well. Like, it's kind of annoying that you would be paying for that and then they just randomly take the game away. I can see like why,
and
but
at
the same time, it's like you don't want to be paying for it and then you lose the games that you like. Because surely they'd be expanding on it and not taking games away like a Netflix kind of setup of here's your movies for the next few months and then you're not getting them after that.
That being said, if people are getting their money out of it, go for it. It's a great deal if you're getting your money out of it. If that's what you like. If you're one of those people that jumps from game to game, you know, you're the frequent go into GameStop, buy a game, bring it back, buy another game, bring it back, buy another game, then yeah, I could definitely see this being for someone. But just me in general, it's not for me. And I recall back when they had that whole thing of signing up for a payment plan for an Xbox. Do you remember that, Mike?
Yeah, I remember.
I haven't heard much about that.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
But they had Gold and Game Pass bundled into that.
Yeah, it was all bundled as one thing. You were paying for the console, Gold, and Game Pass all at once.
Yeah, this might be their attempt to get the people who already have their consoles. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But definitely worth a look if it's...
If that's what if you're buying it already, basically. Like, if you're already buying both, you might as well just switch over and save yourself a couple bucks, you know? But we don't know if...
That's probably what I'll do.
Right, exactly. So I assume Microsoft is smart enough to be like, yeah, you can buy it in the same tiers you buy Game Pass and Gold in right now. I doubt they aren't going to let you do that. Doesn't seem like their MO here lately. So I think we're all good on that one then? Okay, awesome. I'm going to move on to news that mostly only I care about. So Atlus brand manager recently spoke regarding adding Joker to Smash from Persona 5 and all of those juicy Persona 5 rumors. So,
I love juicy rumors.
Naoto, here, I can't say his last name. It's the A and the O is what's going to get me. Hiraoka? That's what I'm going to go with. He spoke to GNN Gamer regarding the company's current and future trajectory. The interview was translated to English by Persona Central. So there are currently no plans for Atlus to work more closely with Sega's properties in the future. If you're wondering why, it's because they've recently been in close communication regarding things like Yakuza and adding Sonic costumes to Persona 5 dancing and Persona 4 dancing, Persona 3 dancing, all that shit. Persona 5 sales have topped 2.4 million copies worldwide. That's a huge number if you're unfamiliar with JRPGs. In the future, Atlus is hoping to target simultaneous releases for Asia and Japan, as the markets can be different there. Regarding Joker and Smash, the company said, quote, Joker will participate in Super Smash Bros. Mainly because of the invitation from Sora Ltd's Masahiro Sakurai. That is what led to this collaboration because Mr. Sakurai likes Persona 5 very much, and I personally like Super Smash Bros. A lot. My first thought when I received the invitation was, great! I was very happy to establish a relationship for this collaboration, end quote. Regarding if Joker in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate means that Persona 5 will be released for Switch, they said, quote, we don't have a specific answer to give for that question, but I personally think that Nintendo Switch is a very attractive platform, end quote. Not included in here, they do have a Persona 5S site that is registered to Atlus. So regarding the potential of Catherine becoming a series, if you don't know, super popular cult hit puzzle platformer. Quote, we need to observe players' reactions before thinking about the next step, end quote. Quote, regarding Shin Megami Tensei 5, it's still under development. However, because this is Atlus's first time tackling Nintendo Switch game development, there are many things to consider. How to present the game is our future challenge. So please wait patiently for follow-up news, end quote. I think that also answers your Persona 5 questions on Switch. Studio Zero's Project Ray Fantasy is, quote, going smoothly. Regarding Atlus's future challenges, quote, because Persona 5 is a game which has achieved greatly, our biggest challenge now is to release a game which goes beyond the height of Persona 5, including the just mentioned Project Ray Fantasy, as well as some new projects which have yet to be announced. I hope that we can strive for excellence and to achieve results beyond Persona 5, end quote. Regarding the potential of remastering Persona 3 and Persona 4, he said, quote, although we can't specifically tell you anything at the moment, we have always received a lot of suggestions from the players. We have received and understood the voices of the players, and if there's an opportunity, we will actively discuss it, end quote. I think it's important to note that Yakuza got remastered. That's all I wanted to say.
Before we say anything, I need you guys to think about something. He said he got an invitation from Masahiro Sakurai. Would it not be so great if you were a game developer, okay? And you get the little invitation with the Smash logo on it, like in the Smash 4 trailers.
That would be beautiful. Right.
Wouldn't it? I just thought about that when I'm reading that. When I'm hearing you say you got an invitation, I was like, can you imagine? Just like, yeah, this letter came in. It's not addressed to. It just has your name at the very top, and then this little logo on the back. I'm just picturing this dude just start to profusely sweat.
He's just super excited,
smashing everything.
Yes, that's just what it made me think of. So, what are we thinking here, Jordan? Why don't you start us off with this? How you thinking?
Well, in regards to the Persona news, yeah?
Yeah, just in general. Just all of it, I guess.
Well, good thing is, I bought Persona 5, I'd say not long ago. It's probably been a few months now, because I heard so many good things about it. Got on PS4, played it for a bit, and I'm still to go back to it and finish it, as I pretty much am with most of my games, which is quite unfortunate. But like when I saw Joker was coming to Smash Bros, that got me pretty hyped. I was interested to see that, and then also seeing the news about it potentially come to the Switch. I just love the Switch anyway. I think it's a total amazing platform for games like that, definitely. Because I got the Tales game, can't remember, the remaster on the Switch, and that just plays beautifully. So I can imagine that Persona 5 would be probably a really good game for the Switch anyway. I need to look into playing Persona 5 more, because it is one of them games that I loved playing. Didn't get that far into it at the start, but there's just so many other games to play as well. But I think it would be good to see it come out on the Switch. The Switch just needs more games like that. It is getting a lot of love just now, but additional games can only help it grow, and that's what I really want to see for the Switch anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Switches, we covered this in the last episode specifically, that one of the Switch's big things, unfortunately, is that it's mainly a first-party platform. Most of the biggest games that come out for it are first-party, which can sometimes not always be the best. So it's good to see some third parties that really take an interest in it. And like you said, the Switch is an amazing platform. There are games when they come out that I just I choose not to buy them until they come out on the Switch. The first example, Cuphead. I knew Cuphead somehow, some way would eventually come to the Switch. I knew it would, and I've been waiting for it.
That was a brilliant decision.
I'd probably buy it again on the Switch.
Yeah, Cuphead is fantastic, and it's going to be really good on Switch, I think.
It's one of them things, I bet some of the Switches are going to be obliterated in fucking rage.
Yeah.
Though.
Just make sure you play it docked. Play Cuphead docked.
Yeah, dude. That way you just break your Joy-Con against the wall and not your entire Switch system.
Exactly.
Fucking launch it about. It's the only downside, the per Switch. But I can't wait for Cuphead to come out. This is going to be such a good game to play, even on a commute, just randomly just boot it up. Because it's one of them things you don't have to sink hours into it at a time. You could be 30 minutes to an hour. You can do whatever you want, I guess. And it's definitely, it just rewards you every time you do a level anyway. Or it just insults you when you lose, which happens to me all the time. It's quite upsetting. Yeah, see, if you play it with the headphones on, you can hear them saying little things like you lose, but in a really patronizing way. And it just makes you so much anger. So good though.
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. This little girl started crying when sitting across from me on the bus, because it turns out I was screaming at my Switch and I didn't know it because I had my headphones on. Yeah, but definitely games like I said, another good example is Celeste. There were games that I just was really hoping would come out for the Switch, because I know that the place that I'd want to play the most is the Switch. Definitely, I haven't played Persona. I've never played a Persona game, but I'd definitely be willing to give it a try if it came out on the Switch.
From what I've played, it's really good. I love the music, the battles. And Switch, yeah, it'd be such a good game for the Switch.
Look, I'm going to be that guy because I'm the Persona one. I'm the only one who gives a shit, to a ridiculous degree here. Honestly, it's still my game of this generation. It's better. I think it's better than God of War. I think it's better than fucking Detroit, better than Spider-Man. I think it's the best game on PS4. That's just my feeling.
There's a word for you.
What?
There's a word for you, and that word is wrong.
Okay.
Oh,
well, we also disagree greatly. I'm one of those dweebs who doesn't like Breath of the Wild either. So, is what it is.
Shut your mouth.
The blasphemy.
They're coming for you, man. They're coming for you.
They really don't.
I'm gonna burn your house down.
Anyways, I hope that I think that you'll probably get Persona eventually on Switch. If people don't know, Persona 4 Golden is a variation of Persona 4 on Vita. So if they can get it to run on Vita, they can get it to run on Switch. And to be fair, Persona 5 ran on PS3. So I'm pretty sure it could run on Switch without really, any hurdles. But I will definitely buy all of those if they come to Switch, because I think that's the kind of game that they don't really have at the moment. In terms of in America, a high profile Japanese game in America. They don't really have something like that, I don't think, right now. I mean, they had Pokemon, but it wasn't a traditional Pokemon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I can't wait for the next one.
Exactly. So
yeah, I agree.
Anyways, that's my nerding on Persona.
Jordan, why don't you go ahead and shut up, Mike.
I was trying to help you transition.
Persona. Enough with Persona. Jordan, I'm not yelling at you. I'm sorry. Jordan, please take us to our next news points.
I don't like it when my daddy plays. I'm joking.
Please don't
Yeah,
call
well,
me mommy.
on the next point. I'm joking. Okay, on the next point. Well, I'm probably going to say this guy's name wrong, so forgive me. But the Tales producer Hideo Baba has left Square Enix. So he's announced that he resigned as the representative director in December 2018, and in March 2019 he resigned from Square Enix. So he's been leading a new team, or a new Square Enix studio called Studio. I'm going to say this wrong as well.
I think so.
Estola?
Estolia, something like that.
I'll go with that one. Estolia. Estolia sounds better. So the studio had, and presumably is, still working on a new IP called Project Prelude Rune. It had really awesome dragon concept designs, and the fate of the project is still currently unknown, but it did start with Baba and the formation of the studio back in February 2017. So only be excited to see more news of that kind of come up soon, but looking forward to seeing what else comes from it.
Anything related to Square Enix is usually just so good. Anything. So I want to give this guy my money. Take it. Do whatever you want. Make something beautiful.
Specifically, what I'm talking about, the with the dragon concepts, Chris. I know Jordan may not have seen them.
Yes.
They're these beautiful like watercolor.
We talked about this a while ago.
Yeah, this was when it was announced back in February of 2017, so a long time ago. But there's these beautiful watercolor, very Japanese drawings. And anyways, people were very excited because you were just talking about Tales and how it runs well on Switch, and you seem to be liking it. So people were very excited for him to get with Square Enix. But the reason I put this mainly in here is because I want to talk generally just about Square Enix and the process of where they're at the moment, because outside of Kingdom Hearts 3 and Octopath, they've not been hot in terms of games and putting them out. Like, people are still really mad about them canceling Final Fantasy 15 DLC, and where the hell is Final Fantasy 7 remake? So
don't rush art.
I don't, but I have concerns when you're like, okay, this company is making it, and the company that's making it is like, we are? Who told us? Nobody told us. Like, I have concerns about Square Enix, is mostly my point. So, and Just Cause 4 just came out recently. It came out pretty, it's fine. It's a good game apparently, but it came out and within months hit Game Pass.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting, to be fair. Pretty sudden.
Right, that doesn't really happen. Game Pass games are usually old, generally. Old enough where all the good sales have already come by. Because you put a game out, you put it on sale after a couple of months, and then you've pretty much got all the sales you're going to get from it, So I thought that was super weird. Anyways, what do you guys think?
Sometimes branching studios don't always work out, and sometimes they just end up running amok and they end up closing before they even release anything. But I'm hopeful. He's leading another team of Square Enix, so hopefully he can create art that I will throw my money at.
I want to be clear. He did resign from Square Enix. He doesn't work at Square Enix anymore.
It says he
resigned from. He was leading a team. Sorry, he was leading the team at Studio Estolia, but he resigned in March from Square Enix. So he's not at Square Enix anymore.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, that's sad then.
Yeah, exactly. That was so. I don't know. I don't know how invested either of you are in Square games. I know Chris cares about Kingdom Hearts, but that's really about it as far as I know in Octopath. So.
Kingdom Hearts 3 was the first Kingdom Hearts game that I've ever completed. And since I've never completed Octopath, I can actually say I think it's the first Square Enix game I've ever completed.
That's kind of funny.
I'm quite invested with Square Enix stuff. I bought on the PS3, I bought the Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5, spent 80 quid on that, didn't play it. But obviously I bought it because I liked it, and I got a Kingdom Hearts plushie, which was still kicking about. It sat in my car for a while. I also bought the number 1 and 2 on the PS2. 1 and 2, I rebought them sealed.
Oh, wow.
Which disappointed me the most was I bought number 1 sealed, and then I opened it because I was dying to play it, and then a week later they announced the 1.5 on the PS3, and that was pretty soul crushing. And then,
oh no, that
and I bought every version on the PS4 as well. I bought 1.5, 2.5, 2.8. I'm probably going to buy that because I'm a piece of shit.
I'm gonna buy that
I just
too.
like buying
There's
games.
nothing wrong with it. Would it make you feel better if I've told you I've bought Destiny 2 3 times, 2 of which on the same platform, and each edition was $100 or more?
Yeah.
That make you feel better? It should.
I've got Destiny 2 3 times as well, but my mate bought me it on the PS4 with a full collection because I was not willing to pay the price for it, even though I've spent worse on other things. Yeah, I know, I'm a sucker for stuff like that. Like sometimes I'll see old games, like I'm just going to throw this example in here. It's like Golden Sun on the Game Boy Advance, spent 50 quid. I think it was either each or for both of them, and I've not played them, but that's because I had so many good memories of them when I was a child. I had to buy them. That's kind of why I bought all these Kingdom Hearts games as well. I will play them at one point, probably not anytime soon, but I will go back to that because just that's the thing with Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. Kind of going off topic, but I think it's worth mentioning. Like when I stepped into Kingdom Hearts 3, I obviously thought I was still quite up to date with the story, but there was like so many little bits that I'd missed out on from all these branching stories that were covered in the 1.5, 2.5, etc. Even though I had them, I totally should have played them on the build-up. Yeah,
Dream Drop
3DS
Distance
game
was amazing.
Dream Drop
Yeah,
Distance.
I played that on the 3DS, and it was just so good.
I thought it wasn't going to be good. I was worried. I was really not going to get it because normally, I'm sorry, but just mobile Kingdom Hearts, remember they had to re-release Chain of Memories because it was just so bad on the Game Boy.
I want you to know, I recently played through Rechain of Memories. Rechain of Memories is even fucking worse. It's even worse.
Okay, I know that
Not
people
fun.
don't like the gameplay, but what I'm saying is playing on the Game Boy, it was like tragic.
Fair enough, I guess. It's just unnecessarily.
I'm not
difficult.
talking about
Yeah,
the gameplay.
it was a weird experience.
Yeah, it is strange, but I liked it. I thought it was a nice shakeup, but whatever, Mike's wrong. So we're gonna move on to our next point before we just talk about friggin' Square Enix all day. Starlink Battle for Atlus will unfortunately no longer produce physical toys. If you recall, they had a Star Fox edition for the Switch where you could get Star Fox stuff, and they had like a little Star Fox's R-Wing kind of toy that like went on top of the Joy-Con or went on like it was like a Joy-Con grip or something. The official site for the game has stated, quote, despite the immense and continuous support from our players, the sales of Starlink Battle for Atlus fell below expectations. Consequently, we have recently made the decision to not release any additional physical toys for the spring update and in the future. The team, however, that was the end of the quote. The team does state that there will be, quote, new digital ships, pilots, and weapons to collect, end quote, in their, quote, biggest update to the game so far, end quote. Software development doesn't seem to be slowing down. However, due to the wording of the statement, we're going to assume that the overall game and its toys didn't meet expectations, not just the sale of the game itself. So this is a really interesting ground because this makes me think of Amiibo, personally.
Mm-hmm.
We saw things like Skylanders, and they ended Skylanders.
They did?
And we see other...
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
Skylanders is done. They ended it. Yeah. We went over this in the news, Mike.
I'm traumatized by so much news. I don't even know what
Gosh.
happens
Classic
anymore,
Mike.
honestly.
Get it together. Jeez. But like we see toys, and then we see the Lego Create games too, where they have like little portals and the little like and the Lego stuff for the game. And to me, it really seems like it's just hit or miss. People like the Amiibo not so much for the functionality, but just for the collecting of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm one of them people, definitely.
Yeah. And when they don't provide a lot of need, it's one of those, it's a double-edged sword. You can't make them be needed for the game because then people will get upset saying, you're going to make me buy the game and then buy this extra. And then we go back into microtransactions, how similar it is just in the real world. But at the same time, if you don't make it necessary for the game to use, almost no one will buy them. Unless, of course, it's Amiibo, which is just people get it for the collectors of it, the collecting aspect of it. So it doesn't surprise me that the toys probably didn't do very well. I feel bad, but that's kind of how it goes. You take a risk and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You pick up your toys and go play at someone else's house.
For these people, I think it's hard for these people to get the same success like Skylanders and that got, because like you're comparing it, like I know it's pretty weird, but you're comparing it to like monsters and like Spyro characters, etc. Compared to spaceships, like a lot of children still will be hyped for that, but probably not as much as it would be for the fantasy aspect of Skylanders. And like even was it? I remember the Disney version.
Infinity, I think.
Was that Infinity?
Disney Infinity.
Yeah, even stuff like that. Like I still feel like people are going to be more attracted to that than they are to something. It's not totally different. Like there's still a lot of games that focus on that type of genre, but it's like I think kids are just going to go for these characters more. They're well known.
Right.
It's like probably like some kids will probably like love the idea of being able to like cross over with these characters as well. Where Starlink, it's a good idea and all that, and it's probably a good game. I've been tempted to pick it up just because of the cost when I'm seeing it down to like 19 quid, which is a fair price, I'd say, just to see what it's like. But then it is one of them things like unless the collectibles, for example, or the figures are going to be like really good, or like you're saying, like the amiibos, you can still collect them. You can have them on show. You don't necessarily have them just for the game. Then I don't think they're going to benefit very much. Or not going to do very well because I kind of like struggle to buy stuff like that as well sometimes, unless I can see myself doing something with it other than just the game. Because when you stop playing the game, you don't want to just get rid of the figurines. You kind of want to be able to keep them on show or something. That's my mentality anyway.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I didn't really think of it from like a social aspect of what kids are more interested in. It's a really interesting thought.
We don't have, neither of us have kids, so of course we don't think about that. I try to include that perspective.
Yeah, my kids aren't even old enough.
Right, your children are still newborn toddler.
They're quite young,
kind of age.
Yeah, my daughter's coming up for 5. She's probably at the age where she would start like find these things interesting. But even then, I still think if you were to take Infinity or something similar to that and compare it to a thing like this, obviously, I think children are still going to go for that just because of the young characters. I really wanted Starlink to do better than it did, but it's just one of them things. Like you're saying, it's a hit or miss, and there's already quite a lot of games out there that have done it. So
and they failed.
It's one of them things. If you don't hit the ground running, you're kind of dead from the start. It's a shame.
Just a classic example of cutting off a dead limb. Basically, they're focusing on the thing that gives them the most profit, and unfortunately, the toys just weren't doing it for them.
Right. I want to make one point. Go ahead. Make your point, and then I'll go.
I just wanted to. It's not a point. I just want to tell you something sad. I was at the exchange the other day, and I noticed a little bin underneath a shelf, and I pulled it out, and it was just full of Skylanders characters.
Damn,
just
that's pretty sad.
Tossed in a bin underneath a shelf, and it made me so sad.
Was it like?
It's kind of like at the charity.
Yeah.
What's up?
Go ahead, Jordan.
I was going to say, the charity I volunteer at, at Get Well Gamers and send like stuff out to children's hospitals for them to play with games. So basically, I was at the vault one day and there's just this exact similar story to what you're saying there. Like I look in one of the boxes and there's just a fucking shitload of Skylanders that's soaking in their own filth.
Jesus.
And it's a shame.
Yeah, makes you
look at them, it's like,
soaking in their own filth. That makes it sound even worse.
Exactly. But it's like Microsoft occasionally send things out as well, and there's just a time where they sent like a fuckload of Kinect games, and it's bet. Just looking at them, and it's like that one with the tiger and that on it. You just want to smash it.
I'm so depressed. Now.
Stuff like that as well.
Right.
R.I.P. Skylanders.
I didn't think you could make me any more sad than I was over it. But thank you for that.
If I may, I just want to make one point about the toys to life aspect general. Is that I think the reason why Skylanders, Disney Infinity, and then Amiibo are also different from this Starlink in particular is because they're established IP. On top of the fact that they're more like Jordan said, geared towards kids with monsters and characters and stuff like that. I think the reason why Amiibo succeeds versus everything else is because you can't really buy officially licensed Nintendo figures that are like legitimate or very nice. At least not in that.
Yeah, that quality.
Right, and the price range on their figures are either very high standard Japanese figures or like crappy McDonald's toys. Like that's until Amiibo came along, that's what you got. Whereas with these toys, like Disney has a crap load of Marvel stuff. Like they just have a shitload of figurines, like for everybody. So like, what's the difference between that figurine and an Infinity figurine? Skylanders, to a point, Activision did some stuff. I think with Spyro. I remember seeing Spyro toys, I guess is what what I'm going with. But I just don't think, I think he's right that those things are more attractive to children because that's just more about what they care about. Like I liked spaceships as a kid, but like I cared more about what was inside the spaceship than the spaceship itself, So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Mike, why don't you take us to our next point then?
Okay, number 5.
Now that I'm depressed.
Number 5 is Battlefield 5. It finally gets the update we have all been waiting for. Microtransactions. Hooray!
Oh boy. Oh jeez.
I can hear everyone cheering.
Everyone's
now.
yeah.
Everyone just letting out a collective. The wind current has increased by like 2 or 3 knots across the planet from everyone doing a collective sigh.
Oh, EA. Anyways,
Classic EA.
You rascals.
it's like the dog meme.
Stirring up shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you. So Battlefield 5 has been updated with the cleverly named Battlefield currency and can be bought using real money to purchase cosmetic customization sets, elite sets, and time savers. Time savers being things like XP boosts and tier catch-ups, which are items that will require Battlefield currency. So those all cannot be purchased with in-game currency. They can only be bought with the microtransactions. Currently, however, only the cosmetic customization has been added, and elite sets apparently will come later. So this is like the slowest rollout of microtransactions ever. Like, at least they got the game
I think
fixed.
I've seen this movie before. This was Star Wars Battlefront 2, right?
It's like the reverse of Battlefront 2.
Of course.
Instead of
No,
having
it's
shitty
not. They're going to
microtransactions,
add.
they just fucking
They're
were like,
gonna
we'll
add
put
stuff.
them in eventually. Like,
Yeah, it's like they're just slowly taking a shit on
Their own
like,
game.
consumer
Yeah.
base. They're just waiting. Yeah, they're just waiting
Jordan,
to cut it
you're
off and
new
drop it
here.
on them.
You're new here, so you don't know about my poop pendulum analogy. Let me tell you.
I'd like to know more. You've got my interest now.
elaborate.
Okay, so the poop
Go
pendulum
on.
works. The poop pendulum works is that there are companies that go back and forth of just doing crappy things, and then the community gets mad at them, and then the other company is doing well, and then later on they do something that's crappy. So what I'm like, take for example the PS3 being revealed to that huge price point or whatever, and that awful boomerang controller. They basically got dumped on by the poop pendulum. And at the time, the 360 was doing really well. And then when the Xbox One came out, they revealed that whole thing and not being able to buy used games, and then the whole mouthing off to that Marine in the press conference. It was their turn to get covered in poop, while PlayStation did well. For EA, it feels like they just grabbed the pendulum and are just shaking out all the poop that they possibly can.
They are showering themselves. No one is trying to do this to you. You just do it to yourself.
It is.
They just went crazy. They just wanted all the shit to themselves,
Basically.
and they just smothered themselves in it, and now they're
All
fucking
of the
drowning
poop.
in it.
Basically.
All of the poop. This is just going to be, like I said, there's going to be the argument they tried to use for Battlefront with this XP boost. There are people that have an abundance of money and people that have an abundance of time. It's like, I'm sorry, that is a whole bunch of bull. Like, you are just trying
that's
to
a
make
bad
money.
excuse.
Yeah, you guys are
It's also like-
bad people.
It's like time savers. Like, that shit's just ridiculous. Like, that just annoys me. It's like, that's like saying, oh, here's a time saver for your game, pay a $5 and you can fucking complete it without doing
Right,
anything.
what's the point?
Because someone doesn't have the time to play it. Yeah, it's like, that makes it unequal. That means people are just going to pay for it anyway. Like, regardless of what financial state they're in, they're going to just pay for this little boost because they can.
Mhm.
And it's like, I can understand cosmetic stuff, that's fine, but when it comes to like giving yourself the advantage, regardless of what that is, I just don't think that should be done.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of hoping that Battlefield 5 wouldn't do that, but obviously they just want to cover themselves in more
Yeah.
shit. They're like a fucking pig in their own shit, just rolling about in it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
And they love it.
honestly, yeah,
Sitting in their own filth.
dude. And
Exactly, they're basking in it. They've embraced their shit, and now they're one with it.
just fucking EA, man.
I hate it.
I don't get it.
Oh my god. EA,
It's
if,
like
if
they
you
just-
thought we're done with EA, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, the funny thing is that one's not so much about EA, but still. Anyways, to bring the point is that,
One
like,
of their
the
subsidiaries.
longer the time goes on with EA particularly, I'm like, I wonder how fucked they're about to be if Sunderland left and this is all the shit that just happened since he left. Like, to be fair, out of
If EA was a fine wine, it would be aging like a fine wine, but it would just taste like poop.
have you ever drank wine that's been
Oh, I thought you were about
aged.
to ask me if I've ever drank poop.
No.
I thought that's what you were going to
Wow.
ask me.
Have you ever voluntarily ate shit? No.
Have you ever drank poop before?
Anyways, have you ever drank wine aged in bourbon barrels?
No.
It defeats the whole
No.
fucking purpose of drinking wine. You drink wine because it's sour and it's sweet. You drink bourbon because it's fucking tart. So anyways, the point is that's EA. EA's like, we want everything all the same all the time. And it's like, but why? It turns into shit. Like, I don't know.
You are
I
drinking
think it's
poop.
like shit.
Right. They just, I don't know. I don't know what their fucking problem is, but it drives me fucking crazy because they actually have good, talented people there. So, I don't know. I'm done with it.
Yeah, but the force and frostbite on everyone.
Right. Frostbite sucks.
Disgusting.
So,
Exactly. It's like Mass Effect Andromeda or whatever. Like,
If EA was a
there's a video
community
I
in the
saw,
real
it's-
world, they would be furries.
oh, don't even get me started on the furries. Have you ever seen that?
I still think, yeah, EA is like its own worst enemy, definitely.
Yes!
It really is. It's like, just don't be shit. Okay, but what if?
Whatever
It's
you
basically
guys
just a
little
are
shit.
planning to be, just do not be. Please.
Really think about
Just
it.
imagine the drunk guy scenario. There's like a drunk guy looking in the mirror and he wants to fight himself, and that's what EA basically is. That drunk asshole that's going to
A
kick the
drunk
fuck out
guy
of himself
trying
in the
to
mirror.
fight himself in the mirror.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
Exactly. He
He's-
sees something good going on, and he's like, not anymore. I'm going to fucking ruin that. And then he just ruins
Yeah.
himself.
He's probably
That's
sitting
EA.
in his own filth.
Jesus.
So he pissed his pants and ready to fight, and that's EA just lying in the gutter, soaking.
Dude, it's so
And it makes us
angry.
all sad.
Oh my god. It's like the worst part is we used to
We're
shit
all
on
just
EA.
sitting watching the man pee himself.
Everyone used to love
Oh,
shitting on
so
EA.
great.
Now we're concerned. We're like, do you need help?
Yeah, at this point,
Like-
it's like, dude, are you okay? Like,
What is happening?
okay, we need to move on.
Yeah,
we need
go
to move
ahead.
on. Jordan, please take us to the next point.
Well, on the next point, we're going to speak about Days Gone. Sony's actually planning to try and make it a franchise, which is pretty interesting. But we found out that a PR rep has spoke to the average Caucasian shark and said that the goal is, well, quote, the goal is to always make a game that people love and want more of, end quote. And the representative also noted that the goal of Days Gone is to release more games in that universe, hopefully starting a franchise. It's kind of interesting. I would kind of like to see that. Like, I'm kind of looking forward to this game, kind of hyped, but then there's a few other things in my mind that are kind of putting me off, but I'll go into that after
Right.
this. Like, moving on from that point, it's quite interesting to see that because PlayStation's putting studios on the chopping block and not acquiring many more within recent years. So hopefully, like, if they want to do stuff like this, they're going to have to keep more of the studios and actually push these games out
Mhm.
more. But also it depends on how well they're received. And then other PlayStation exclusives, such as Spider-Man and God of War, they've risen quite exponentially and done quite well. But the fear is that since it's only Band who's been releasing games since 2012, if it doesn't perform well enough, that could be the end of that. It could just be one game, not be a franchise.
It's like the
Can I move
opposite
away
of
from them
Xbox.
points?
Pretty much.
Yeah, they've been total like hammering people in, and Sony just like nah,
Xbox
we'll
has
see
like
what
been
happens.
assimilating new what was DHQ Nordic? That's what I was thinking of. THQ Nordic is assimilating a whole bunch of
Yeah.
studios and staff like the
Jesus.
frickin' Borg.
Yeah, dude. THQ is an unstoppable
And
monster.
Sony's
Yeah.
just not. So
See, on like the whole Days Gone thing, one thing like I'm really looking forward to the game. Story looks good, graphics
Mhm.
look good. The whole aspect of like hordes of zombies chasing you. That's one thing I like the look of. But then it's kind of been playing on my mind that and on the 16th, so yeah, it's 8 days away. World War Z is releasing on PC and console, and it's basically, if you've not seen it, I assume you have, but just
Mhm.
for those who haven't, it's kind of like imagine Left 4 Dead, more realistic graphics, and there's just hordes and hordes of zombies coming at you, and it kind of worries me like they're coming out so close together. Whereas Days Gone's a good game that's gonna have like it's gonna be story driven, it's gonna have like more emphasis on that. Whereas World War Z is probably gonna be one of them games that you can just pick up, turn on for a little bit with your friends, and play through, kind of similar to Left 4
Mhm.
Dead. And I think that's what's gonna help that do well. And I don't want to see that negatively impact Days Gone. But it's one of them things like I'm looking forward to both of them. I'm going to get both of them regardless.
Okay.
But it's like that's the one thing that's playing in my mind. Is that going to be enough of a factor to impact Days Gone?
there might be
They are two
other
quite different
people.
games. Don't get me wrong.
There might be other people that think how I am, in the sense of just it has nothing to do with Days Gone itself. I feel like The Last of Us really piqued my feelings of zombie games. So zombie games just don't really. I don't usually give them a chance. Like that's just me. I'm sure that they're great games. I'm sure other people enjoy them. But when I hear a zombie game, I usually don't.
You're kind of checked out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's hard to kind of like you're saying. It's kind of hard to beat The Last of Us in the sense that like you can either go one or two ways with zombie games, in my opinion, and it's either that it's as close to realistic as possible, whereas like you'd imagine you're just in like a normal setting, you've got limited guns, you're not fighting zombies that are totally like sprinting, like overpowered, massive, like mutants, kind of comparing it to like Dead Island, for example,
right.
or games like similar like that when the zombies are total just ridiculous and the entire game's kind of like I keep saying realism, but it's kind of like
grounded.
It's hard to explain because a zombie game's not going to be.
I know what you're. I think.
Yeah, like that's what The Last of Us is.
Yeah,
in the other games, like I'm kind of worried that.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
You go first. Sorry.
It's like you said, it's either basically it's really story driven or it's like a shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm worried that Days Gone's going to drift into. Like, I know it's got the whole focus on story, but it's like you compare it to The Last of Us, and it's hard to see what they're going to do that's different. Like, because The Last of Us also has a sequel coming. That's not going to be like I can't imagine it's going to be a franchise as such. That like could maybe compare it to Uncharted if they bring out another game or 4 games, for example. But it's like if they're going to try and make 2 zombie franchises, it seems quite weird. Like on the one platform,
right?
Like it's not unheard of, but it seems quite strange.
Yeah,
in my opinion, anyway. Because I just pick Left 4 Dead, not Left 4 Dead. Keep thinking of that. The Last of Us every time.
We've even seen the mistakes of companies that were really story driven and then went the route of shoot 'em up, like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Where they actually had to basically backtrack their formula because people were just hating it. So Days Gone is stepping into has really big shoes to fill. And they better make sure they perform and hope that Sony won't pull an EA and give them the chopping block.
Right.
I'm just really hoping it does well because I'm just worried.
I agree. I'm in that same boat with you. It is that with the zombie franchise thing, I'm not sure about The Last of Us because if I may, I think based on that studio's attitude and the people heading it up right now, it seems like Neil Druckmann wants to kind of do different things. Like they didn't really seem like they wanted to do The Last of Us 2 even, but because there's such a high demand for it, they decided to do it anyways. And they're done with Uncharted. They don't want to make Uncharted anymore. Sony's not done with Uncharted, apparently, according to the rumors. But
I hate when that happens.
Right. So like
sometimes you just need to let things end at a good point before.
Well, then you get companies. Then you get companies like Bungie that just sell Halo to another subsidiary and let them continue it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. So that's basically the Uncharted situation, And so I think maybe The Last of Us. I think The Last of Us will probably end at 2 if given that studio's track record. Them probably finishing it. It may still go on somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe even Sony Bend picks it up and they finish doing The Last of Us instead of Days Gone.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
I really like The Last of Us.
I do too.
But I would not want it to continue to a point where it's like they're just making the games for money because then there's no love in it. There's no like focus on the story. It's just like, oh, here's another version of the game. Or
you hear a lot of that from Call of Duty developers.
Mm-hmm.
That basically have been doing the same thing for years and years, and it's at the point they don't really care about making it. It stops being art. Like a lot of these video games, like I know I made jokes earlier about art, but some of these games, like The Last of Us, is art.
Yeah,
the story is amazing. Yeah. You're really eager. None of the gameplay really feels stale because you're so eager to see what happens next. And the only reason The Last of Us Part 2 really came to light was because there was chatter all over the internet talking, oh man, I'd really love to see, like continuation of the story. I'd love to see this. I'd love to see that. And that's why Naughty Dogs came forward and they're like, okay, you guys are asking for it. We'll do it. We can hope that it won't turn into just a cash cow and then, you get part 3, part 4 and this and that.
Right.
But I digress.
So, short version, I think, basically, Jordan makes the valid point of there's no reason to have 2 simultaneous zombie franchises. That would just be kind of stupid. It's also weird because people think that The Last of Us 2 is coming out this year, which it might, but I highly doubt Sony's going to be like, yeah, we'll drop Days Gone and then immediately fucking kill it 6 months later by dropping The Last of Us. Like, that just doesn't seem smart at all.
Unless they pull a Titanfall 2, also another EA decision. Yep,
Yeah,
that's right. I'm crapping on you, EA. What are you going to do about it?
I think Sony is smarter than that, specifically with their IP, because we've seen this generation, regardless of the policies outside of Sony, just focusing on the games, the IP, and the way they've released stuff. The issue has been that they didn't give developers enough time. They didn't understand how long it was going to take to make the things that they wanted to make on PS4. And so now they have better expectations. So we're not getting delays anymore. You know, we're not getting all this sort of stuff. And both those games are very ambitious, I think. Especially if what we saw in The Last of Us teasers is what that game ends up being like, that's going to be like groundbreaking, you know, in terms of the way the AI interacts and all that shit. But Days Gone just needs to be good enough. It just needs to be fun enough. You play it once and that's it. I think it'll probably have a long tail because it's coming out in April, right? This month. And then, you know, you got all summer and they don't have shit coming out as far as I know. So at least in first party. So I think it'll probably have a long tail and you'll see people picking it up over summer, I think.
Yeah. All right. So now we get into the meat and potatoes. I'm sure that Mike is going to title this video appropriately. We're talking Bioware. As of now, so I'm just going to go ahead and read Mike's notes before I start going into a tangent. Bioware employees had a rough time during Anthem, and believe it or not, it actually wasn't EA's fault. This week, Jason Schreier over at Kotaku published a lengthy editorial into Bioware's climate and the development of Anthem. There's a lot to go through, and definitely we're going to recommend that you go over to his article, which I'm sure Mike will link in the description, because it is very well done. It was a really good look into the working environment of this developer. And we don't have a 3-hour podcast, so we condensed it down into as many notes, as many major points as we can without getting too tiresome. So BioWare's management and leadership really are to blame for Anthem's lack of content. And this is mainly due because of a lack of direction of the game. The team spent 6 years just coming up with ideas and throwing them around without really implementing anything. Flying was repeatedly taken out and put back in, completely changing level design, you know, accounting for vertical environment, and really redesigning huge aspects of the game. Frostbite itself was very hard to use, and if you're not making a bunch of money on your games, you aren't a priority to the Frostbite support team. This meant that things that would take hours to complete on other engines took days or weeks to change in Frostbite, because not a lot of the developers there at this point in time really even knew how to use Frostbite. The team wasn't allowed to talk about Destiny, as it was a taboo, meaning they couldn't take hints or reference taking hints from the game that had done so much wrong and eventually got things turned around. The constant response upon mentioning Destiny was, quote, "This isn't Destiny." Stress-related, quote, casualties, end quote, were common due to employees not knowing what was happening to the project, what they were working on, or towards. By casualties, we mean employees got so burnt out that it was common for them to take months of stress leave and sometimes never even return to the studio. Team meetings often left with things up in the air rather than a clear decision being made, once again, due to lack of leadership. The demo seen at E3 for the first time was the one the team made for Patrick Sutherland after he was shown the initial Christmas demo, and an employee stated that he said, quote, "This is not what you had promised to me as a game." This led to Sutherland making upper management of BioWare fly all the way out to DICE to get help from them to make Anthem look nicer using Frostbite. The demo we saw at E3 was the one that Sutherland saw and was compiled from assets, but nothing that even remotely existed at the time or what we see in the game as of now. It was also the first time the team that was making the game had an understanding of what was really happening with the game. BioWare Austin, known for the MMO Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars game, along with other developers inside Edmonton, were continuously ignored by upper management when they brought up concerns about the project and the things going on inside of it. Things regarding building an online game, finding workarounds in Frostbite, and bugs were just some of the things the management declined to address and said would all fall together and end with some, quote, Bioware magic, end quote, aka a boatload of crunch. So, lot of information here.
So one tangent at a time, everybody. Chris, you could go
One
first.
tangent at a time. I don't know. No, I think Jordan's our guest.
Okay.
Jordan's our guest. You go ahead and tell him. You go ahead and speak.
This Anthem in general just makes me quite sad to even think about it. Like, it's one of them things, like, I really looked forward to the game coming out. Like, I was really excited. I thought this was going to be the game that came out and done what Destiny should have done the first time. You know, like, walk in there, do things right, learn from their mistakes, like, just know what not to do and hopefully what to do. And it just feels like that they obviously didn't do anything. They didn't even look into what went wrong with Destiny. It's like they just thought, you know what, fuck it, like, let's just go ahead with the game. And they've just, like, it's disappointing because I really wanted it to do well. It's still probably doing well in some sense for some people. Like, some people are going to be enjoying it. I've seen a lot of people praising it. But at the same time, it's nowhere near what they wanted. And I think a lot of players, it's nowhere near their expectations either. Even, like, I played the beta, I think it was, the closed beta on PC. Thought it was quite good. Kind of got me hyped up for getting it. I was going to get it on console so I could play it with my friends. But as soon as it came out, I just had no interest because of all the negative things that I'd been hearing about the game, about how like buggy it was. And it's quite disappointing, like, when you see games that come out and they promise you so much, and then when you actually see it, it's like the developers just took a shit in your face. And it's kind of like the whole No Man's Sky situation. I'm still bitter about that. Even though they've done good in some people's eyes, it's still like one of them things. It's too little, too late. And even if Anthem or Bioware managed to pull this around with Anthem, I think it's still going to be the same situation. It's like the first impression matters. You can sometimes rectify it by doing better down the line, but it's like if you hit the ground and fucking smash into it, it's too late. That's kind of my take on it. And I think the whole, like, even like you said, Anthem uses Frostbite, right? And it's like, do you think they would have learned when the fact that, like, Mass Effect used the same thing and looked like a turd as well? And just, it's like, you think they would pay attention to these things and, like, invest so much more, like, focus on making it good, not like they think that you would want to come out and beat Destiny and all these other games that are similar to, like, the loot and shoot, the whole working in teams and doing raids and stuff. You think they would want to peak on that, but it feels like it didn't happen, and it is really upsetting. They had so much potential, but that's just my outlook. Like, I still might get around to playing it one day, but at the same time, it's like I have no rush to do so until they can prove that it's worth investing money. And that just sounds like a lot of hate, but I think it's justified.
So, my turn now. And I'm not going to be ridiculous. I'm going to take this point by point. First thing I want to address, we may not have really covered it here, but they actually, BioWare did give a response, and they were doing something. They tried to, like, rally gamers and say it was, for some reason, that it was Kotaku trying to tear down all the individual developers of BioWare and how we do this for the gamers and this and that, as if Kotaku was the problem. And then they turned around and had an internal response to the article, basically saying, yeah, they're kind of right. There's a lot of issues here that we need to fix. One of the big things for me was that we already talked about this earlier. It's not the leaders and stuff that are going to get in trouble. It's the people under them. And it's really sad because we see all these people coming forward like, hey, this is an issue. We need to fix this, with higher ups just brushing them off. And I'm sorry, but not allowing you to reference Destiny is just wrong. You can't pretend like your game isn't similar to Destiny. If your game wasn't going to be similar to Destiny, how do I put this? They had to have had Destiny in mind when this games as a service thought even came into their head. So trying to make it seem like they're not trying to copy Destiny is just wrong. There's nothing wrong with trying to see what Destiny did wrong. Destiny 1's launch was awful. Destiny 2's launch was even worse. And the Division 1 didn't win any medals either when it first came out. These are all things that you can learn from. That was why I was so excited for Anthem. I was like, they had to have seen, and I even discussed this on the show with you, Mike. I said, there's no way Anthem can suck. They have 3 big examples of what not to do. Like, this should be great. And it was even worse. And they just can't even fix it. Every patch that comes out introduces new bugs.
It's a shame. It's a real shame.
So
disappointing. It's like the kid that decided to copy someone's homework, and he's just copied some guy that fucking had no idea what he was doing. And he's like, fuck it.
Right.
Ooh. I have one more thing before Mike starts.
Go ahead.
So we talked about how this game had like basically a 7 or 8 year development cycle, with the actual implementations of the game only being in the last year to 16 months.
Fucking awful.
For this makes me think of a kid this makes me think if I tried to write a midterm paper that needed to be like 10 pages long, if I did it the night before it was due. And the professor tells me this is shit. And I tell her, oh, well, I worked really hard on it. I'm sure you did. I'm sure that there was a lot of crunch done during this time. And it doesn't matter how much you, quote unquote, we tried really hard. Guess what? It's still shit. Doesn't matter if you tried really hard in the last week before it was due. It's shit. You had all this time to do it. You had all these different references you could do to make this game great. And everything that happened was within your control to fix and to apply good leadership to make sure that this game didn't suck on release.
It's like the old saying, though, you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. And that's exactly what
you can give a turd,
you can steaming turd.
Put diamonds on a turd, but it's still a turd. Just with diamonds.
For the sake of conversation and just to make it transparent, I only ever played the open beta. So I played pretty much the same thing you played, Jordan. And then Chris played the full game. So Chris has, in quotes, the most authentic, experience with the game.
Yes.
But
loading screens the game.
Yeah. So I'll try to go piece by piece real quick to hit the main point that you guys have been hitting with Anthem and the looter shooter thing in particular. I think it's important to note that the looter shooter came about as just like, we don't know what the fuck to make this game, so I guess that's what we'll make. Like, that just kind of, ended up being what happened. Apparently, it was originally supposed to be something more, I guess, Halo-oriented, more so than Destiny. But going through and checking everything here and just seeing it, it's like, there's so much wrong here on every fucking level. But I was concerned about this game from the second time they showed it to us. Not the first E3 demo.
I remember. The
second E3 demo when they were like, here's a bunch of concept art and we showed you a 3-minute trailer and now we'll talk about the game for the next 10 minutes. And I'm like, you don't have anything else to show. You obviously don't have anything else to show.
I remember you talking about this in our episode.
And
I remember.
I don't want these things to happen. It's just that we've seen so many shitty things done by shitty people, and EA is apparently really fucking bad at covering that up. Like, it's not even so much so that, like, they couldn't just... there was no reason for Anthem to be talked about at E3 that year. They should have just showed what they had and gone away. Talking about it is what set off those alarms to me. When they were like, yeah, we'll talk about the game and all the stuff you could do. And I'm like, I don't want you to talk to me about it. I want you to show me. I want to see it. I want to see it in action.
Yeah.
And so that first demo we saw, I said, if this is, when I saw it, I was like, if this is the game that they delivered, that's amazing, because they have whatever the next probably 2 years. They have Destiny to look at, Destiny 2 to look at, the Division to look at. If they look at these things and adjust, they can fucking make a great game just off of the failures of others without even having to fail themselves. And I think that with you guys, that's where the most frustration comes in, is that their management really just fucked them. Like, and it's just looking at all of this information and just seeing all of it is like, what And I can't get mad at EA at this. I can get mad at them for the Frostbite thing. That I can get mad at them about. But like in terms of BioWare not doing shit, like, you know, if I was giving them millions of freaking dollars every year and like 6 years later you still don't have anything and Patrick Sutherland is telling me this game's shit, I'd be pretty upset too. You know, I'd be like, you got to shit or get off the pot, man. Like, we're giving you a bunch of money. You got to produce something. So like, even from EA's perspective, it's like, I get it. I get you had to put a game out. And BioWare took too long. I get it. They needed to do something. But this is, honestly, the whole story to me centers around management. And I've worked in companies like this. And I'm sure a lot of other people have, where you see the writing on the wall as a low-level employee. You interact with things on a daily basis. You can kind of see where shit's going. And so I can understand being so stressed out, you know, that one of the stories in here that's really heartbreaking is that one of the employees was caught crying, locked in one of the storerooms because they were so stressed out. Like, dude, you're just making a game. Like, it shouldn't be that serious. Like, it's not that big of a deal that somebody should be able to be pushed to the point of that. Like, come on, man. So,
well, we also don't know the exact. We don't actually. I mean, you have to think about it. It could just be because we're not thinking about it as a job, but this is really stressful for some people. So
no, I understand. My sympathy is for them. Yeah. I'm not criticizing them for crying. I'm saying their management should not make it so stressful for them to do that job that they have to lock themselves in a room and cry about it. I don't think any job should make you do that, honestly. Like, yeah, especially things in creative fields. You should enjoy yourself most of the time, you know, and it's just frustrating. Seeing this kind of shit is frustrating because it's just very standard. But it's like, Anthem is what Destiny 1 was. Like, in a vacuum. Like, it's the same shit. Like, it's crunch. It's management not talking about stuff.
I think it's worse.
Yeah, I think it's worse because it's now. It's a problem from 5 years ago, but now. Like, and I think that's why everybody's so harsh on them. And I think the gaming community in general, the ones that are trying to make it better, have, you know, voiced their opinions on the way that developers are being treated and stuff like this. And so we've seen, you know, some change, but you can't be doing stuff like this. And EA already has the reputation problem, and this made it even worse. And to be fair, it wasn't really any of their fault, EA particularly. But now it's like, what do you do with this game? You know, I guess you update it enough to try to salvage the reputation of the game and the people that played it and bought it. And then you just kind of move on from there. Like, I don't know. They're still going to do the updates in DLC, right? They haven't said anything about canceling any of that stuff?
No. Okay. There's been no talk of cancellations yet.
Okay. But I'm interested to see if the current road...
If that happened, then...
Yeah, that would for sure be the nail in the tombstone. But I'm interested to see if after the initial DLC they release for free, if, you know, EA just pulls the plug and goes, you got to move on to Dragon Age. Because apparently, in this story, we didn't cover it, but long story short is, because of all the moving parts of BioWare and EA, during Andromeda was being made at the same time Anthem was being made. And so they pulled people from Anthem to work on Andromeda, presumably because Anthem didn't have anything going yet. And Andromeda did. So they pulled people from there, put them there. And then they started Anthem. They were still working on Anthem, fucking around with it. And then Dragon Age 4 started, apparently, in pre-production. So they were concepting stuff like that. And then they canceled that so that they could pull everybody from that and put it on Anthem. And then they pulled people from DICE and put it on Anthem. And then they pulled people from Motive, which is a subsidy that works basically just on tech. They're just a subsidy company that helps DICE work on stuff. Pulled them and we brought them in on Anthem because they were having trouble with Frostbite. And then now apparently that team at BioWare that mostly worked on Anthem has moved to Dragon Age, and there's some people still working on Anthem stuff, from what I understand of this article. So it's like BioWare's just like this whole mess. It's that dog on fire meme. You know, it's like, this is cool. Everything is all right. Yeah. And it's like, I'd be concerned. Like, EA said they're not going to shut them down, but still, like, very clearly you need to take a look at your company and see what's happening there.
a few more
Definitely.
points that I want to make.
Go ahead.
This in the article they also say that basically this same development process of BioWare magic, meaning everything gets crunched toward the end, actually also happened for Dragon Age, for the last Dragon Age game that was made. Yeah, Inquisition. But the problem was that game was super successful.
Yeah, people
like so they were like, no need to fix what ain't broke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And then we've also, I feel like if you read the article, they talk about in a few places where they were like, okay, we'll just fix it in later updates. And I feel like that might be leading to almost a type of laziness in game development. Like, oh, why? Like, I mean, like they have a deadline. Like, we need to have this ready for production by this time. They're like, oh, whatever we just don't get done, we'll just patch it.
Pretty much.
We'll just patch it later.
That was like management's thought process.
Like day one patches and all that.
Yep.
Exactly. And I think my favorite thing that I read was, I had this mentality because I was debating this with my friend Justin, and he was like, there's no way. He's like, I don't understand how they let it launch like this. And I told him, I'm like, well, they probably, because before I read this article, I'm like, well, think about it realistically. If they knew their game was like this, they obviously wouldn't allow this to be released. Like if they knew their game was like this, and guess what? I was right. They didn't know their game was like this, because according to this article and from former BioWare developers, they were so busy actually making the game, they barely had any time to actually play it.
Right.
Which is mind-blowing to me.
It's so bad.
It's kind of like, did any of you play the game Agony that got released and was met very
I don't want
badly?
to talk about Agony. It's traumatizing. That game is shit. That's the shittiest game I've ever played. Yeah. Oh my god.
That's like the fucking best example of just like fucking shitting all over the game, just throwing it out into the wild and just letting it fester.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Poor Agony.
Their video editor needed to raise for the trailer because they made that game look fucking great.
Exactly, and then you turn it on and it's just like shit getting flung in your eyes, and you can't see.
So bad.
All you can see is poo.
It really is. Chris wouldn't know because he didn't play it, but Agony is so bad. Agonizing. Yeah, it literally is agonizing. And on top of that, like I reviewed it and I was so upset with it that I couldn't even review it properly. And it was like somebody came to me personally.
I was the same.
And was like, "This review is terrible. The way you wrote it was terrible. The way you scripted it was terrible. You produce much better stuff than this. Don't do this again. Like, it's really bad. It looks really bad for you." And I'm like, I couldn't like grasp even how bad the game was to be able to, I guess, articulate that to people without cursing up a storm. Like, so I understand where you're coming from.
I took the route of just putting it to bed, and I just could not review it. It's one of them things like if you look back, I think I did actually put something up, but it's basically stating that due to the condition it was in, I could not play it and I could not review it because it was that bad. And it's a shame because, like you're saying, that feels like it is kind of the standard of some developers where they're
fix it later.
Our game's shit, but we'll just fix it. Yeah, it's like, if we can paint it to look nice and nobody sees the cracks, then that's cool. We'll get it out and we'll fix it when people don't notice. And that's a shit fucking practice to work on.
That's not good business either.
Like, you don't want to be doing that. Yeah. It's like, you push that out, and then as soon as people find the cracks, then they'll fucking break it. They'll find a way to break it. If it isn't completely fucked already.
Well, we've been on this topic for a while, and there's obviously a lot more to be said, but we don't have this is already running at quite a while.
Right.
So we're going to go ahead and try and wrap things up here. Definitely try and check out that article. Like I said, Mike will link it in the description down below. It's a really good read. It's long, but there's a lot of detail. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Special thanks to Jordan, the Crispysinger, for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Always happy to be on.
Oh, good, because we'll probably have you on at another time. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I am Ambassador Chris.
And I'm Ambassador Michael.
And we will catch you in the next one.